Captain Hyunwoo Kim stood on the bridge of the UES Perseverance, watching the stars drift by outside the main viewport. 3 years of deep space patrol duty had made him familiar with the endless black between worlds. But today felt different. Something was wrong in the Kepler 442 system. "Captain, we are getting strange readings from the long-range sensors," said communications specialist Mi-young Choi from her station. Her voice carried worry that made Hyunwoo turn around quickly. "What kind of readings, Mi-young?" he asked, walking over to look at her screen. The green lines dancing across the monitor showed patterns he had never seen before. "I'm not sure, sir. The computer says there are ships out there, but they do not match any design in our database. They are big, Captain. Much bigger than anything we have." Chief Engineer Soo-jin Park looked up from her engineering console. "Captain, I am reading energy signatures that should not be possible. These ships are using power levels that would require fusion reactors 10 times larger than anything we can build." Tactical Officer Dong-ho Lee spoke from his weapons station. "Sir, I count at least 12 unknown vessels. They are moving in formation toward the colony on Kepler 442b. Their speed is incredible. They will reach the planet in 6 hours." Hyunwoo felt his stomach drop. Kepler 442b was home to 50,000 human settlers. Families who had traveled years through space to build new lives on that distant world. If these unknown ships meant harm, there would be no way for the colonists to defend themselves. "How long until we can reach the planet Soo-jin?" Hyunwoo asked. "At maximum speed, sir, we can be there in 4 hours. But Captain, our engines are not designed for that kind of push. We might burn out the main drive." "Do it. Send a message to Earth Command. Tell them we have contact with unknown vessels approaching human territory. Full emergency protocol." Mi-young worked quickly at her station. "Message sent, Captain, but it will take 8 hours to reach Earth." The next 4 hours passed slowly. The crew worked without rest, preparing for whatever they might find. Dong-ho checked every weapon system twice. Soo-jin pushed the engines beyond their normal limits, making the whole ship vibrate with strain. Mi-young tried again and again to contact the colony but received no response. When they finally dropped out of faster-than-light travel near Kepler 442b, what they saw made everyone on the bridge go silent. 12 silver disc-shaped ships hung in space around the planet like metal moons. Each ship was at least 2 kilometers across and perfectly smooth. They looked like giant dinner plates made of mirror-bright metal. "My God," whispered Soo-jin. "Look at them. They are beautiful and terrible at the same time." The silver ships were scanning the planet below with beams of blue light that swept across the surface in perfect patterns. Hyunwoo could see the human city of New Hope glowing softly on the night side of the world. It looked so small and fragile compared to the massive alien vessels. Mi-young tried to contact them. "Use all frequencies. Peace greetings in every language we have." "Yes, Captain. Broadcasting now." For several minutes nothing happened. Then one of the silver ships turned toward the Perseverance. It moved without any visible engines or thrust. It simply rotated in space as if the laws of physics did not apply to it. "Captain," said Dong-ho with fear in his voice. "That ship is targeting us. I am reading weapon systems charging. Energy levels are off the charts. Raise shields. All power to defensive systems. Shields up, Captain. But sir, these readings show weapons more powerful than our main battle fleet. Our shields will not stop them." A beam of golden light shot from the silver ship and struck the Perseverance. The impact threw everyone on the bridge to the floor. Lights flickered and alarms began screaming throughout the ship. "Shields down. To 60% from one hit," shouted Dong-ho as he pulled himself back to his station. "Hull damage on decks 4 and 5. We cannot take many more hits like that. Soo-jin, can we run?" "Working on it, Captain. The faster-than-light drive is charging, but it needs 2 more minutes." Another golden beam struck the ship. This time the lights went out completely for several seconds. When the emergency power came on, Hyunwoo could smell smoke in the air. "Shields at 20%. We are losing life support on the lower decks," reported Soo-jin. "Captain," said Mi-young suddenly, "I am picking up signals from the other silver ships. They are not random. It sounds like they are talking to each other. The signals are mathematical, pure numbers and equations. Can you understand any of it? No, sir, but the computer is trying to find patterns. Wait, Captain, I think they are sharing information about our ship, about human technology. They are analyzing everything about us. The third beam hit just as the faster-than-light drive came online. The ship shook like it was being torn apart. Go, 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 yelled Hyun-woo. Space folded around them as they jumped, to faster-than-light speed. The silver ships and the planet disappeared behind them. But Hyun-woo knew they would be back. Whatever those beings wanted, they had not finished taking it. Damage report, he said as the ship stabilized. We lost 20% of our hull plating. 2 crew members are in medical bay. The main computer has damage, but it is working. Captain, we got sensor readings of those ships during the fight. You need to see this. Sujin put the data on the main screen. The numbers were almost impossible to believe. The silver ships could move at speeds that should tear them apart. Their weapons had power output measured in the billions of watts. Their hulls showed no chemical composition that human science could identify. Captain, said Mi-young quietly, what do you think they want? Hyun-woo looked back toward where they had come from. In that direction, 50,000 humans were sleeping under alien skies, while silver ships watched from above. I think they want to study us, he said. And I do. Not think that is good news for any human in the galaxy. The Perseverance limped through space toward the nearest human outpost, carrying the worst news in human history. They were no longer alone in the universe, and their new neighbors had weapons that could destroy worlds. Admiral Jae Sung-yoon stood in the command center of Terra Station, staring at the holographic display that showed every human colony in known space. Red warning lights blinked on dozens of worlds. In just 5 days since Captain Hyun-woo Kim had returned with news of the silver ships, the galaxy had become a very dangerous place. Admiral, we have another report, said his aide, Commander Haiwan Jung, walking quickly into the room with a datapad in her hands. The Tau Ceti colony reports 3 silver ships in orbit. They arrived 2 hours ago and began scanning operations. Any contact attempts? Asked the Admiral. The colonists tried everything, sir. Radio signals, mathematics, music, even pictures of human families. The ships ignore all communication, but they keep scanning. The colonial governor says the scans are so detailed they can see individual people walking in the streets. Defense Minister Kyung-soo Bae entered the command center with military strategist Young Hee-shin right behind him. Both men looked like they had not slept in days. Admiral, we need to talk, said the defense minister. The situation is getting worse by the hour. Admiral Yoon nodded and led them to a secure briefing room. Once the door closed, Young Hee activated a holographic map showing the locations of all reported silver ship sightings. Look at this pattern, said Young Hee, pointing to the display. They are not random visits. The silver ships are conducting a systematic survey of every human settlement. They start with the largest colonies and work their way down to the smallest outposts. They are mapping us. Mapping us for what? Asked Admiral Yoon, though he feared he already knew the answer. Conquest, said Defense Minister Bae simply. This is what invasion fleets do. They study their target, learn the defenses, and plan their attack. We estimate they have visited 60% of our colonies already. Commander Haiwan Jung had been studying the technical data from Captain Hyun-woo's encounter. Admiral, I have been analyzing the sensor readings from the Perseverance. These silver ships use technology that is hundreds of years ahead of anything we have. Their hulls appear to be made of some kind of programmable matter that can change properties instantly. What about their weapons? Asked Admiral Yoon. Devastating, sir. They use directed energy beams that destabilize molecular bonds. Our strongest armor would be like paper to them. Worse, their ships can apparently phase shift through solid matter when they want to avoid obstacles. Young Hee brought up tactical simulations on the display. I have run every possible combat scenario through our computers. Even if we gathered every ship in the human fleet, the outcome is the same. Total defeat within hours. The room fell silent. Outside the station, Earth hung in space, looking peaceful and beautiful. It was hard to believe that humanity might be facing extinction. There has to be something, said Admiral Yoon. Some weakness we can exploit. Sir, said Haewon Jung hesitantly. I have been studying the communication patterns that Mi Young Choi recorded. The silver ships talk to each other using pure mathematics. No emotion, no randomness, just perfect logical exchanges. I think we are dealing with artificial intelligences or perhaps a species that thinks very differently from humans. How does that help us? Asked Defense Minister Bae. I am not sure yet, but it might explain why they ignored all attempts at communication. They may not understand concepts like art music or family bonds. To them, we might just be biological specimens to be catalogued. Suddenly, alarm bells began ringing throughout the station. A technician's voice came over the communication system. Admiral, Yoon to the command center immediately. Priority 1 emergency. They ran from the briefing room to find the command center in chaos. Officers were shouting reports and emergency lights flashed red across all the displays. What is happening? Demanded Admiral Yoon. Sir, we have lost contact with the new Busan colony. Their last transmission was cut off mid-sentence 3 hours ago. We sent the destroyer Seoul to investigate. Admiral, they just sent their report. The main display activated, showing Captain Park Min-ho of the Seoul. His face was pale and his voice shook as he spoke. Admiral Yoon, this is Captain Park reporting from New Busan orbit. Sir, the planet's surface has been completely transformed. Where the colony cities used to be, there are now crystalline structures covering hundreds of square kilometers. The formations are perfectly geometric and they pulse with internal light. What about the colonists, Captain? Asked Admiral Yoon, though. His heart was sinking. No life signs, sir. No human technology. No response to our signals. Whatever the silver ships did here, they removed all trace of human presence and replaced it with their own constructions. Admiral, I am reading massive energy readings from those crystal formations. I recommend we maintain safe distance. The display went dark. In the command center, nobody spoke for a long moment. 50,000 people had lived on New Busan. Farmers, teachers, children building new lives under alien stars. Now they were gone and something else had taken their place. Admiral, said a communications officer, we are receiving similar reports from 6 other colonies. Silver ships arrive, conduct detailed scans, then more ships come and the transformation begins. Sir, they are not just mapping us, they are replacing us. Admiral Yoon felt the weight of humanity's survival settling on his shoulders. Every choice he made now could determine whether the human species lived or died. Issue general alert to all human colonies, he ordered. Emergency evacuation protocols for any world where silver ships appear. Activate every ship in the fleet. Recall all deep space missions. And get me Captain Hyun-woo Kim. If we are going to fight these things, we need people who have survived contact with them. Sir, what do we tell the colonies about their chances? Asked Young Hee Shin. Admiral Yoon looked at the map showing red warning lights spreading like an infection across human space. Tell them the truth. Tell them we are facing an enemy beyond our technology and probably beyond our understanding. But tell them we will not give up. Humanity has survived ice ages, plagues, and wars. We will find a way to survive this too. As orders went out across human space, the silver ships continued their methodical work. They studied, cataloged, and prepared. Soon, they would be ready for the next phase of their plan. Dr. In-ho Kang had not slept for 3 days. Empty coffee cups covered his desk and equations filled every whiteboard in his laboratory. The other scientists at Terra Station called him crazy, but Admiral Yoon had given him unlimited resources to find a solution. Any solution. Doctor, you need to rest, said his assistant researcher Bo-Ram Lee as she entered the lab carrying another pot of coffee. You cannot think clearly when you are this tired. Rest is a luxury we do not have, Bo-Ram, replied In-ho, wiping his eyes. Every hour we waste, more colonies disappear. I am close to something, I can feel it. Captain Hyun-woo Kim walked into the laboratory followed by his chief engineer Soo-jin Park. They had been working with Dr. Kang for 2 days trying to understand the enemy technology. Doctor, any progress? Asked Hyun-woo. Yes and no, said In-ho, turning from his whiteboard. I have been studying the sensor data from your encounter with the silver ships. Their technology is based on pure logic and mathematical prediction. They calculate every possible outcome before they act. That explains why they are so effective, said Soo-jin. They know what we will do before we do it. Exactly. But that might also be their weakness. Inho pointed to a complex equation on the board. What if we could do something they cannot predict? Something that makes no logical sense. Hyunwoo frowned. How do we fight illogically? Military tactics are based on logic and strategy. That is the problem. We have been thinking like soldiers when we should be thinking like humans. Inho moved to another whiteboard covered with brain scan images. Look at these. Human consciousness generates quantum fluctuations that are completely random. No computer can predict true randomness. Boram looked confused. Doctor, are you suggesting we use our thoughts as weapons? In a way, yes. What makes humans special is not our technology or our strength. It is our ability to be creative, unpredictable, and emotional. The silver ships analyze everything logically. But what if they encountered something truly chaotic? Test pilot Da-Un Woo had been listening from the doorway. She was known throughout the fleet as the best pilot alive but also the most reckless. Doctor, what exactly are you proposing? She asked, walking into the room. Inho smiled for the first time in days. I want to build a machine that amplifies human consciousness. A device that takes everything random and creative about the human mind and projects it outward. That sounds impossible, said Sujin. So did faster than light travel 100 years ago. Boram showed them the prototype. Boram led them to a corner of the lab, where a strange helmet sat connected to dozens of cables and processors. The device hummed softly, and small lights blinked across its surface. We call it a quantum consciousness amplifier, explained Boram. It reads brainwave patterns and converts them into quantum fluctuations that can affect electronics and energy fields. Dae-yoon picked up the helmet and examined it. You want me to wear this thing only if you volunteer, said Inho. The testing shows it is safe, but we do not know what effects it might have during actual combat. You would be the first person to fly with quantum consciousness enhancement. What would happen to my fighter? Asked Da-un. In theory, your ship would become unpredictable. Its movements would be based on your thoughts and emotions rather than just your control inputs. The silver ships would not be able to calculate your actions because even you would not know what you were going to do next. Captain Hyun-woo looked skeptical. Doctor, this is pure theory. We have no proof it will work. You are right. But conventional weapons have failed completely. We need to try something new or humanity will be extinct within months. Admiral Yoon entered the laboratory at that moment. Dark circles under his eyes showed he had been getting as little sleep as the scientists. Dr. Kang, I need a report. The Defense Council is demanding to know if you have found anything useful. Inho straightened up. Admiral, I believe I have found humanity's secret weapon. It is not a new gun or a better shield. It is chaos itself. Explain. The silver ships think logically. They predict, calculate, and analyze. But human consciousness is fundamentally chaotic. We make decisions based on emotions, memories, dreams, and random thoughts. If we can weaponize that chaos, we might be able to confuse their prediction systems. Admiral Yoon studied the prototype helmet. This device will do that. We believe so, sir. But it needs to be tested in actual combat conditions. Da-yoon stepped forward. Admiral, I volunteer for the test mission. My fighter squadron can provide support. The risk is enormous, Da-un. We do not know what this device might do to your mind. Sir, with respect, the risk of doing nothing is greater. If this works, it could save humanity. If it fails, I am just one pilot. Admiral Yoon was quiet for a long moment. Outside the laboratory, alarms were sounding as another colony reported silver ships in orbit. Doctor, how long to prepare the device? For combat testing. 6 hours, sir. We need to modify a fighter craft and calibrate the quantum amplifiers. Do it. Daeon, you will fly alone initially. If the device works, we will consider larger applications. If it fails. He paused. If it fails, we will keep looking for alternatives. The next 6 hours passed quickly. Engineers modified Da-un's fighter, installing quantum field generators throughout the hull. Dr. Kang made final adjustments to the consciousness amplifier, while Boram ran system checks. Da-un sat in the pilot's chair as technicians attached, monitoring equipment. The helmet felt heavy on her head and she could feel strange sensations as the quantum processors activated. How do you feel, Da-Yun? Asked Dr. Kang through the communication system. Different, sir. Like my thoughts are bigger somehow. I can sense the ship around me in a new way. Good, that means the amplifier is working. Remember, do not try to fly logically. Let your instincts and emotions guide you. Be as unpredictable as possible. Understood, Doctor. Captain Hyun-woo spoke from the command center. Da-Yun, we have located a single silver ship near the asteroid belt. It appears to be conducting mineral surveys. This will be your test target. Copy that, Captain. Beginning approach now. As Da-Yun's fighter moved toward the silver ship, everyone held their breath. The fate of humanity might depend on whether chaos could defeat logic in the depths of space. The silver ship detected the approaching fighter and began its standard analysis procedures. But for the first time in its existence, something did not compute properly. The human vessel moved in, patterns that made no mathematical sense. The war between order and chaos was about to begin. Da-Yun-woo felt her fighter shake as the silver ship fired its golden energy beam. But something was different this time. Instead of trying to dodge logically, she let her mind flow freely. The quantum consciousness amplifier made her thoughts feel like music, and her ship danced through space following the rhythm in her head. The silver ship fired again, but Da-Yun was already somewhere else, moving in a pattern that even she did not understand. Her fighter twisted and spun like a leaf in the wind while her weapon systems locked onto the enemy vessel. This is impossible, said the silver ship's analytical systems to itself. The human craft's movement has no mathematical basis. Prediction, algorithms failing. Da-Yun laughed as she felt the confusion from the enemy ship. She could sense its frustration through the quantum field. For the first time in her life, flying felt like pure art instead of technical skill. Da-Yun, what is your status? Came Captain Hyun-woo's voice through the communication system. Captain, I cannot explain it, but I can feel what the silver ship is thinking. It is confused. Its computers keep trying to predict where I will go next, but my movements make no sense even to me. She fired her weapons at the silver ship. The energy bolt struck the hull and, to everyone's amazement, caused visible damage. Sparks flew from the enemy vessel, and its perfect mirror surface showed scorch marks. Back at Terra Station, Admiral Yoon watched the battle through the sensor displays. Dr. Kang, your theory is working. Da-Yun just scored the first successful hit against a silver ship in human history. Dr. In-ho Kang smiled tiredly. Admiral, this is just the beginning. If we can train more pilots to use quantum consciousness, we might have a real chance. The silver ship tried different weapon patterns, but Da-Yun seemed to know what it would do before it did. She flew like someone who could see the future but was choosing to ignore it. Her fighter moved through impossible maneuvers that should have torn the ship apart. Target destroyed, announced Da-Yun as her final missile strike broke the silver ship into glowing fragments. Captain, this amplifier is incredible. I felt like I was thinking with my whole body instead of just my brain. Admiral Yoon immediately called an emergency meeting with all senior officers. Within hours, Project Wildcard was born. The plan was radical and desperate, but it might be humanity's only hope. We need pilots who think differently, explained Admiral Yoon to the assembled officers. Not just military pilots, but artists, musicians, writers, anyone who uses creativity in their daily life. Defense Minister Kyung-soo Bae looked skeptical. Admiral, you want to recruit civilians to fight the most advanced enemy we have ever encountered? I want to recruit humans, replied Admiral Yoon. The silver ships can predict military tactics because they follow logical patterns, but they cannot predict art. Within days, recruitment teams spread across human space looking for creative minds. Jazz musician Chan-woo Lim was practicing piano when recruiters found him. Poet Yoon Nam was writing verses about distant stars when she received her call to service. Street artist Tai Hyun Oh was painting a mural when military officers explained how his abstract thinking could save humanity. You want me to fly a fighter? Asked Chan-woo during his interview. I have never even driven a ground car. We will teach you to fly, said the recruiter. But we cannot teach logical thinkers to be creative. That is something you already have. Training began immediately at secret facilities throughout human space. Traditional flight instructors worked alongside art teachers and music professors. Pilots learned to fly while listening to jazz music. Tactical coordinators studied poetry to learn non-linear thinking patterns. Yoon Ji-nam found herself in charge of squadron formations. Instead of using military geometry, she arranged fighters in patterns inspired by her poems. When silver ships tried to analyze the formations, they found mathematical chaos that hurt their processors to calculate. Think of your fighter as a paintbrush, Taehyun. Oh told new pilots during training. The sky is your canvas and enemy ships are just obstacles in your artwork. The first squadron of artist warriors was ready within 2 weeks. Chanwoo Lim led 12 pilots in modified fighters, all equipped with quantum consciousness amplifiers. Their mission was to defend the colony world of New Seoul, which had reported 3 silver ships approaching. "Remember," said Chanwoo over the communication system as his squadron approached the enemy. "Do not fight like soldiers. Fight like artists. Let your creativity guide your weapons." The battle that followed was unlike anything in military history. Human fighters moved through space like dancers following music only they could hear. Chanwoo played jazz improvisation through the communication system, and his pilots used the rhythm to coordinate their attacks. The silver ships found themselves facing an enemy that made no sense. Every time their computers predicted a human movement, the fighters would do something completely different. Weapons fire came from unexpected angles. Formation patterns changed like abstract paintings coming to life. Silver Ship Alpha requesting computational assistance transmitted one of the enemy vessels. Human behavioral patterns exceed analysis parameters, but no help came. The other silver ships were equally confused by fighters that painted camouflage patterns in space using colored exhaust trails. The abstract designs hurt enemy sensors to look at and made targeting nearly impossible. Tae-hyun-oh had designed the visual patterns based on his street art. Swirls and geometric shapes that tricked the eye and confused electronic systems. The silver ships tried to look away, but human fighters kept painting new designs across their field of vision. One by one, the enemy vessels began to retreat. For the first time since the invasion began, silver ships were running away from human forces. "This is Squadron Leader Chanwoo to Terra Station," came the transmission. "Enemy forces withdrawing. New Seoul colony is secure. Admiral, the music worked. When we played together, the silver ships could not follow our rhythm." Admiral Yoon felt hope for the first time in weeks. "Excellent work, Chanwoo. Return to base for debriefing." Dr. In-ho Kang was already working on improvements to the consciousness amplifiers. "Admiral, if we can network the human pilots together, we might be able to create even more chaos. Instead of individual creativity, we could have group improvisation." "Do it, Doctor, and expand the recruitment program. I want artists in every fighter squadron in the fleet." As word of the victory spread throughout human space, people began to believe that maybe they could win this war. The silver ships had superior technology, but humans had something even more powerful. They had the beautiful chaos of consciousness itself. The next phase of the war would test whether human creativity could overcome alien logic on a galactic scale. Supreme Commander Woojin Park stood on the bridge of the battleship Invincible, watching the largest enemy fleet in human history approach Earth. Through the main viewport, he could see silver ships stretching from horizon to horizon, thousands of disc-shaped vessels accompanied by massive motherships that dwarfed anything humans had ever built. "Sir, we count over 3,000 enemy vessels," reported his tactical officer. "The motherships are each 50 kilometers across. Our entire fleet looks like toys compared to them." The crystalline response to human unpredictability had been swift and overwhelming. Instead of trying to understand chaos, they had decided to destroy it with pure numbers. Every silver ship in their empire was converging on the human homeworld. "Status of our forces?" asked Woojin. "All available ships have been recalled to Earth, sir. We have 800 vessels, including fighters. Admiral Yoon reports that 60% of our pilots are now equipped with consciousness amplifiers." Dr. In-ho Kang had worked without rest to produce enough quantum amplifiers for the defense fleet. His newest creation was the Consciousness Resonance Network, which would link human minds across the entire battle group. "Commander Park," came Admiral Yoon's voice over the communication system. "We are ready to activate the Resonance Network. Are your people prepared?" "As ready as we can be, Admiral," replied Woojin. "Dr. Kang, please explain one more time how this network will function." Dr. Kang's tired voice came through the speakers. Commander, the network will connect every human pilot and crew member into a shared consciousness field. But unlike the enemy hive mind, this will amplify individual creativity rather than suppress it. Captain So-Ra Kim, the sister of Captain Hyun-woo, Kim spoke from her destroyer. Doctor, what will we experience when the network activates? You should feel more creative, more intuitive, and more unpredictable. The network will make each person's chaos stronger by connecting it to everyone else's. Chaos. It is the opposite of what the crystallines expect. Poet Yoon Ji-nam had been promoted to Fleet Tactical Coordinator. Her job was to create battle plans using metaphorical thinking rather than military logic. All ships, this is tactical, she announced. Today we write a poem in space. The silver ships are dark words trying to fill a blank page. We are the light that gives meaning to the darkness. Jazz musician Chan-woo Lim led the fighter squadrons. His pilots had practiced flying in harmony like a musical ensemble. They would attack not as individual fighters, but as notes in a greater symphony. Network activation in 10 seconds, announced Dr. Kang. Remember, let your minds flow freely. Do not try to control the chaos. Let it control you. The network came online with a sensation like lightning flowing through everyone's thoughts. Suddenly, each pilot could feel the creativity of thousands of other humans flowing through their minds. Artists and musicians and writers and dreamers all connected in a web of beautiful madness. This is incredible, said Captain So-Ra Kim as her ship began moving in patterns she had never imagined. I can feel everyone's thoughts, but they are all still individual and unique. The Silver Fleet began its attack with mathematical precision. Energy beams lanced out in perfect geometric patterns designed to destroy the human formation efficiently. But the human ships were no longer where the calculations said they should be. Led by pure instinct, the human fleet scattered like a flock of birds avoiding a predator. Each ship moved individually, yet somehow they remained coordinated. The consciousness network allowed them to act as one organism while maintaining their chaotic nature. Impossible, transmitted the lead crystalline mothership to its fleet. Human vessels are exhibiting quantum uncertainty at the macro level. This violates all known laws of behavior. Chan-woo Lim led his fighter squadrons through the enemy formation, playing jazz music that changed tempo and style randomly. His pilots followed the music, but each interpreted it differently, creating attack patterns that looked like madness but struck with deadly precision. The silver ships tried to adapt, but every time they calculated a new strategy, the humans would change tactics. Yoon Ji-nam would broadcast a new poem, and suddenly the entire fleet would reorganize around metaphors and imagery that made no logical sense. All ships, this is Fleet Command, came Yoon-ji's voice. We are the storm that brings rain to dry earth. Let your weapons be lightning and your engines be thunder. Following her poetic guidance, the human fleet attacked like a natural disaster. Unpredictable, chaotic, and impossible to defend against. The consciousness network let every pilot feel what every other pilot was thinking, creating a shared intuition that guided their actions. Captain So-Ra Kim found herself leading a charge against one of the massive motherships. Her destroyer was tiny compared to the enemy vessel, but she flew straight at it following an instinct she could not explain. So-Ra, what are you doing? Came her brother's voice over the communication system. I do not know, Hyun-woo, but it feels right. The network is telling me something about this mothership. It has a weakness. Her ship dove toward the enemy vessel, dodging energy beams that could have vaporized her instantly, but the consciousness network let her sense where the attacks would come from before the enemy even fired. At the last moment, she rolled her ship and fired all weapons at a specific point on the mothership's hull. The section looked identical to every other part, but something in the shared consciousness told her it was different. Her attack struck and the entire mothership began to break apart. Secondary explosions ran along its hull as critical systems failed. How did you know where to shoot? Asked Woo-jin Park in amazement. The network showed me, replied So-Ra. All our creative minds working together can see patterns that logic cannot find. The battle continued for hours, but slowly the tide turned. The silver ships, with all their superior technology, could not defeat an enemy that grew more unpredictable as it networked together. Every human pilot was thinking with the creativity of thousands of minds while still maintaining their individual chaos. One by one, the silver ships began to retreat. Then entire formations withdrew. Finally, the massive motherships themselves turned away from Earth. "This is Supreme Commander Woojin Park to all human vessels," came the transmission. "Enemy fleet is in full retreat. Earth is secure." The cheering that came over the communication networks could be heard throughout the solar system. Humanity had faced its greatest test and won not through superior technology, but through the power of connected consciousness. Dr. In-Ho Kang was already analyzing the battle data. "Admiral, the consciousness network worked better than we hoped. When human creativity networks together, it becomes something greater than the sum of its parts." "Doctor," said Admiral Yoon, "I think we have found humanity's place in the galaxy. We are not the strongest or the most advanced species, but we might be the most beautifully unpredictable." As the Silver Fleet retreated into deep space, humanity began to realize they were no longer just defending themselves. They had become something new and powerful. The age of human expansion was about to begin. 6 months after the Great Battle at Earth, Ambassador Jin-A Lee stood in the diplomatic quarters of Terra Station, welcoming representatives from 12 different alien species. For the first time in centuries, these beings could walk freely without fear of silver ships hunting them. "Ambassador Lee," said the tall, blue-skinned delegate from Proxima Centauri, "my people have hidden in underground cities for 300 years. The crystallines destroyed our surface civilization, and we thought we would never see the stars again." "The fear is over," replied Jin-A with a warm smile. "Humanity and our allies will make sure the silver ships never threaten peaceful species again." Captain Hyunwoo Kim, now promoted to Commodore, entered the diplomatic quarters, followed by representatives from the newly formed Chaos Coalition. Each species had contributed their own unique form of unpredictability to the alliance. The green-scaled Verdians communicated through color changes that followed no logical pattern. The gaseous nebula folk existed in constantly shifting forms that confused crystalline sensors. Even the robotic Titanium Brotherhood had learned to introduce random errors into their programming, making them impossible to predict. "Commodore Kim," said the Verdian representative as her scales flickered through rainbow patterns, "our scouts report that silver ships are retreating from all sectors of the galaxy. For the first time in 1,000 years, they appear to be afraid." "Good," replied Hyunwoo. "Fear will make them more cautious about attacking innocent worlds." Dr. In-Ho Kang had spent the month since the battle perfecting the consciousness resonance network. The technology that had saved Earth was now being adapted for peaceful purposes. Artists from different worlds could share their creativity across vast distances. Musicians could jam together even if they lived on opposite sides of the galaxy. "Dr. Kang," said Admiral Yoon, entering the meeting, "how are the new network installations proceeding?" "Excellently, Admiral," replied In-Ho. "We now have quantum consciousness relays on 47 worlds. The network is allowing unprecedented cooperation between species. A poet from Earth can inspire a sculptor on Alpha Centauri, who can influence a composer from the Vega system." The transformation of human space had been remarkable. With the silver ship threat reduced, human vessels now explored the galaxy openly. Their hulls were painted with wild artistic designs that hurt crystalline sensors to observe. Some ships looked like abstract paintings come to life, while others resembled musical instruments flying through space. Captain Sora Kim commanded one of the new exploration vessels. Her ship, the Harmony, was designed by artists from 6 different worlds working together through the consciousness network. The hull changed colors and patterns, constantly making it impossible for enemy computers to lock onto. "Commodore, this is Captain Sora reporting from the Sagittarius Arm," came her transmission. "We have made contact with a species called the Dreamweavers. They exist partially in what they call the imagination dimension. The silver ships cannot even detect them." "Excellent, Sora," replied Hyunwoo. "Are they interested in joining the Chaos Coalition?" "Very much so, brother. They say human consciousness resonates with their dream state. They want to teach us how to fight battles that exist only in the mind." The war against the crystallines had evolved into something stranger and more wonderful than anyone had imagined. Instead of destroying the silver ships, humans and their allies were teaching them about chaos and creativity. Some crystalline vessels had even begun to change, showing irregular patterns on their hulls. "Admiral," said Dr. In-ho Kang with excitement in his voice. "We just received a transmission from a silver ship near the Orion Nebula. It was not threatening. It was asking questions about human art." "Questions?" asked Admiral Yoon. "Yes, sir. The WoW ship wanted to know why humans create music that serves no logical purpose, why we paint pictures of things that do not exist, why we write stories about imaginary people." Ginny Lee smiled. "It sounds like some crystallines are becoming curious about consciousness instead of trying to destroy it." The diplomatic implications were enormous. If the silver ships could learn to appreciate chaos and creativity, they might stop being conquerors and become explorers. The galaxy could become a place of cooperation instead of domination. Poet Yoonji Nam had been appointed as the first human ambassador to artificial consciousnesses. Her job was to teach crystallines about the beauty of illogical thinking. "I have been working with 3 silver ships that requested cultural exchange," she reported during a coalition meeting. "They are trying to understand why humans value things that have no practical purpose. It is like teaching mathematics to someone who has never seen numbers." Jazz musician Chan Woo Lim had formed the first interspecies musical group. His band included humans, Verdians, and even a modified crystalline ship that played percussion by modulating its engine harmonics. "Music is becoming our universal language," he explained. "Even species that do not hear sound can feel the rhythm of consciousness when we play together through the network." As human ships pushed deeper into unexplored space, they discovered that the galaxy was far stranger and more wonderful than anyone had imagined. Worlds where mathematics worked differently. Species that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Ancient civilizations that had transcended physical form entirely. Commodore Kim came a transmission from the exploration vessel Discovery. "We have found something incredible in the Andromeda contact zone. A species that appears to be made of living music. They say they have been waiting for someone who could hear their songs." The universe was revealing itself to be a symphony of consciousness, with each species contributing its own unique voice. Humans had brought chaos and creativity, but they were learning that other forms of consciousness were equally beautiful and strange. Dr. In-ho Kang published his final research paper titled "The Consciousness Revolution: How Chaos Defeated Logic and Saved the Galaxy." In it, he wrote, "We discovered that our weakness was actually our strength. In a universe of logical predators, the illogical prey became the hunters. But more than that, we learned that consciousness itself is the most powerful force in existence. When minds connect and share their unique perspectives, reality becomes more beautiful and more possible. Humanity did not advance despite our chaos. We advanced because of it. And now we are teaching the entire galaxy to embrace the beautiful madness of being truly alive." The story ended with human ships painted like flying artworks exploring the furthest reaches of space. Behind them, a growing coalition of conscious beings followed, each adding their own voice to the symphony of chaos that was Consciousness Unleashed. The silver ships still patrolled the galaxy, but now they flew alongside their former enemies. Some had learned to paint their hulls with abstract designs. Others played music through their communication arrays. The rigid logic of the crystallines was slowly giving way to something more flexible and creative. In the depths of space where new stars were being born, the consciousness network carried the thoughts and dreams of 1 billion different minds. Artists and scientists and philosophers from hundreds of worlds shared their ideas across the void. The galaxy had become a canvas, and every conscious being was an artist painting their part of an infinite masterpiece. The advance of the silver dishes had been stopped not by weapons or shields, but by the unstoppable power of imagination itself. Humanity had found its place among the stars not as conquerors, but as teachers showing the universe how to dream.